Hi everyone, today we are going to look at parts of a right triangle. And then what unit we're starting is called Pythagorean Theorem. Okay, so I know it sounds kind of funky, but it is Pythagorean Theorem. And what this means is you have to have a right triangle. Okay, and remember that there are three angles inside a right triangle. And all right triangles have a right angle, okay? That is usually given by a picture of a box in the corner right there. And what it is it's worth 90 degrees, okay? And it's this one right here. So that little box right here in the corner tells us that it is a right triangle. And if we look at it, notice how in this description of this picture here of this right triangle, you have what it's called a leg on this side and another leg. And then we have this word, and it's how you say it is hypotenuse. Okay. So those are the three things we need to really know about our right triangle when we do Pythagorean theorem. So what are the legs and what are the hypotenuse? So there are three sides because there is three angles. The legs, what we're going to call those are A and B. Okay. It doesn't matter which one is which. Okay. But one is going to be an A and one is going to be B. So if I were going to go right back up here to the top, maybe, let me change the color so you can see it. My A would be here and my B would be on the base, the bottom of my triangle. Okay, again, you could switch these in and out. And then my hypotenuse is what we like to call C. Okay, it is the diagonal of your triangle, and it is directly across, if you want to think about it this way, from your right angle. Okay, your triangle might be turned, but you can always find your hypotenuse because it is always directly across from your right angle. And it is the longest side. It will always be your longest side. So let's look down here, A and B. And then we said the hypotenuse was C. And I'm going to write in longest side. All right, so with C being your longest side, it's the diagonal directly across from your right angle. And that is what we're going to look to find today. So what our questions are going to be about, here's a few examples we're going to do. We're always going to be looking for that C, that hypotenuse. Okay, on these first couple, it even labels where C is located. We notice that it is directly, okay, across from your right angle. So in yesterday's lesson, we had squares and square roots. Okay, so where we took numbers and we squared them and we figured out what that was. So if we're going to do that again, and we're going to plug into our Pythagorean theorem formula. Just if we are looking at this, we're going to write it in as, okay, C squared equals 18 squared plus 15 squared. Okay, and then we'll square root that. And so what we can do is it really looks like in our calculator, we can type in the square root of 18 squared plus 15 squared. And again, it doesn't matter which one is your A or your B. I went ahead and said this was my A and this is my B when I plug this in. So if we're looking for C, a good thing to note when you're looking for C is you're always going to have a plus sign. Okay, so today, notice that anything under the square root sign, we will have a plus sign. So we can go put that in our calculator. Let me go to Desmos here. So I'm going to hit my square root, and it was 18 squared plus 15 squared. And it gives me this really nice long decimal, but I'm going to write 23.4. Okay, I'm just going to do one decimal place. And let me write in that it equals 23.4. All right, so let's try and do the next one. Let me make the pen a little darker. So again, A and B. I do have a right triangle. I see that little box here. So I'm going to use Pythagorean theorem. So this time, I'm going to go ahead and write my square root sign first, because I know I'm going to have to square root like we did in this example. So I'm going to write 50 squared plus 50 squared. Okay, and we'll go and solve that. All right, so I went over to Desmos, and you have 50 squared plus 50 squared. Oh, man, hold on. If you're, make sure this square root goes across the whole thing. So let me clear this. Let me try again. 50 squared plus 50 squared. That's a lot better. All of it is under that square root sign. 70.7. So C equals, what did we say? 70.7. All right, so not too bad, right? Let's look down at the next couple examples. So we are solving for C still. Notice how it says we're looking for C. It's this diagonal long side. It's directly across from your right angle. So when I go to plug this in, C equals, and I have 64 squared plus 45 squared. So go to your Desmos and clear this. 64 squared plus 45 squared, 78.2. And so that would be our answer for C. All right. Now, for this example, if you notice, it is turned, but it still is a right triangle. You do see the box there. C is directly across from it, but this time it says X, and that's okay if it says X or Y or any other letter. We're still looking for that diagonal, that hypotenuse. So when we go to write it in our square root, we still have A squared plus B squared, but now we have 6 squared plus 8 squared. So maybe this is my A and this is my B. Again, we can interchange those legs. Right, and of course we're looking for C or our X on this situation. So X is going to equal that square root. So I'm going to go to my Desmos. I'm going to clear it out, and I'm going to do the square root of 6 squared. Whoa, accidentally did percent. Square root of 6 squared plus 8 squared. And we get 10. Now this is one that you're going to see a bunch, okay? It shows up a whole lot. 6, 8, 10. Okay, those are pretty common. The last question we're going to do, try and do it yourself, and then come back and see if you get the right answer. All right, so this problem, you could draw yourself a picture if you want to draw yourself a picture. Just draw yourself a right triangle. That's pretty good drawing since I have no skill with this pen. Let's see, a leg is 16. So remember, a leg can be the sides of it. Okay. It says the other leg is 22. And it's saying, what is the length of the hypotenuse? Remember, this is your C. Okay, that is what we're looking for here, your C. So we're going to put square root of 16 squared plus 22 squared. Go to your calculator or go to Desmos. Let me clear this. And we said what? 16 squared plus 22 squared. And you get 27.2. And we can tell if we got the right answer because this is the longest side. 27.2 is longer than 22 and is longer than 16. Okay? And we used a plus sign in the middle. Now, tomorrow we're going to look at solving for a leg and how that is a little bit different from solving for the hypotenuse. So come back for tomorrow's lesson.